Okay, I'm back with layouts 5 and 6 of the Everyday You and Me Scrapbooking Workshop Makeover. So this is the workshop you can get. It makes 3 beautiful 2-page spreads, and I'm just showing you quickly some of the DSP that comes in the pack. It comes with little chipboard punch outs. It comes with these one-sided specialty papers and a little cutout that you can use the negative and positive, and then all of these little punch out things that's very feminine. It has cardstock and a sticker sheet, everything very feminine. But I'm adding the tartan foil cardstock. It's retired, but I think it will be a perfect match, and it will help me make over this workshop so that it looks much more feminine. And I am using directions from Kelly Baxter-Fitzgerald, Hey Handsome Sparkle and Shine Workshop, and I'm showing you layouts 5 and 6 that I'm going to be creating with this Everyday You and Me workshop papers. So I have cut out all the pieces and I'm going to assemble them. And I'm starting first off with that copper clay tartan foil. And this, I think, is the one thing that really helps give the masculine feel. It's a very strong color to ground the whole layout. And so as you see me putting down all of these pieces, I will be doing this twice because I'm going to create kind of a mirror image of those first few pieces that I'm putting down right here. And I love that stripe, and I know it has the leaves on it, but I still don't think that makes it too, feminine or anything. I think I can really still use that. And I even use some of this tartan foil as the mats for my photo placeholders, and I've punched a bunch of circles out of the different cardstock pieces that I had left over in DSPs, and I've punched them out with the circle punches from Stampin' Up that were 2 inches, and the other one I believe was 2 3/8 inch circle punch. And so I'm going to put that one down and just figure out which way I want some of these circles. And the ones like this one that has the little hash marks, I just kind of figure out which way I want the eye to move. So that one I kind of had those little hash marks going left to right, because I really think when you open up this layout, your eyes are going to start at that top left and then be moving across. So then right here, I have that beautiful gingham, and then these square 4x4 photos will have these different frames around them. And I'm going to pop up the photo placeholder, which will also serve as another mat for the photo. I'll probably cut the photos down to 3 3/4 inch squares. So I'm going to place this one down. I just kind of try to figure out my placement before I put everything down. And then the next one that I'm going to do, well, this is just a little layer. This one right here, I'm going to have that pretty peacock tartan foil that's under this Cricut cut frame. And I just love this frame. It has all those little tiny squares that are cut out. And then I'm popping up the photo placeholder, but all of those little squares let you get a little peek of that tartan foil underneath of it. And I love the contrast in the colors. It's one of my favorite things on this layout. Isn't that adorable? So as I've told you on the other videos, these layouts are actually going to be used for a senior boy this year. So I loved the Everyday You and Me paper. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, that would be really cool. And I thought you could use it masculine, And then when I actually got it, it was so many flowers, and I didn't realize how many flowers were in everything. And actually, one of the DSPs had a flower print. All of the rest of the designer series paper was not floral, but it was the punch out sheets, it was the stickers, it was all the extras that gave it that more feminine flair. And so I'm like, I still want to use these papers and I still like the colors, and I just wanted to, there you can see that flower print. So that's the only print that I did not use on these pages. But I will tell you this, I made 6 2-page layouts with this workshop I have from Kelly Baxter-Fitzgerald. And then I still had a bunch of things left over. And I had a lot of flowers left over. So I just couldn't resist. I created a bonus layout. So there will be one more video in this series. So you'll have to stay tuned. I stretched this workshop that was designed for 3 2-page spreads, 6 pages. I stretched it into this 6-page layout workshop and then added a bonus. So I stretched it to 14 pages. Can you believe that? I was so surprised that I got so much out of it. And I still have plenty of flower little tidbits that are from the stickers and punch outs. I think I might have used most of the punch outs, but I still have a few things left. So I'm sure they will make their way onto cards or tucked in as little bits around some other scrapbooking layouts in the future. So you can see here that I'm pretty much making a mirror image of the other page. I'm just switching the photo mat placement as I do the mirror image just to give it some visual interest. And that is just adorable, I think. I really like how this turned out. And I usually like to scrapbook bigger pictures. Like my favorite would be 4x6, every once in a while 5x7s or something bigger like that. I don't do too many 3x4s, except sometimes I have such adorable layouts and they call for 3x4s. So I'll do a 3x4 or 3x3, but really I like to print my pictures bigger so you can see what I am taking pictures of. But I don't mind the 4x4 photos because when I print my 4x6, a lot of the photos I can spare to take a couple inches off of the sides or off the top or bottom, and I still get the main focal part of my pictures. So, okay, here you see I am just tucking in some more of those circles. The ones that you don't see a whole lot, I just cut them in half because why waste it when I can come back and use the other half someplace on another layout or maybe someplace else on this layout. And here I'm coming in from my sticker sheet and I am cutting it down and making some little banners, I believe, that I'm going to be using on this layout. So we do still have celebration going on right now. So if you're loving this everyday you and me scrapbooking workshop, this would be a great time to snag it. And if you spend $60 with celebration, you can get a free item added on. So here I did like the, not a banner tip, but more of a pointy tip, kind of the opposite of a banner. And I put that on that little frame. And I believe I still popped these up with those dimensionals so that it really gives some good dimension on this page. And I just think that's adorable. I love this layout. This is great. And I think I can really get some nice photos on it. And if I need to, I did tuck one 4x3 up there, But if I need to, I could always add flip flaps, and I can get even more than just these 5 pictures on my layout. So I really like that one. I love how your eye moves across the page and it has so much going on. Okay, we're moving on to layout 6, and I have this darling little grid, and I'm going to cut it in half because it will be tucked in on 2 different spots. So I really only needed just one of them cut out, and then I was able to cut it in half and just use a little less cardstock that way. And I'm sort of separating my pieces onto the different pages now. So the technique that this layout features is tearing. So the 2 pages do not mirror each other, but they are tied together by this tearing technique. So the top 2 layers on this left page are going to have tearing at the bottom, and they're going to be layered over each other. And some of the other things that tie these 2 pages together is like that zigzag grid that you see, that black cardstock. You'll see some of that on both pages. You'll see some circle elements on both pages, but you don't really have like a mirror image or something that builds from left to right like you see on a lot of other layouts. But that's all right. It still works together because of this tearing technique and some of the other little elements. And I like all of these little pieces that are tucked in behind these 4x6 photos. And you notice I'm using that silicone craft mat. It is great for adding adhesive to things, especially when it has a lot of holes in it, because then the adhesive sticks to just the cardstock and it does not stick to that silicone craft sheet. And so you get adhesive exactly where you want it and exactly not in the places that you do not want the adhesive. So I'm putting this down, and I have some little strips, and I'm just cutting that one in half because you're only going to see it in a couple of spots. And so I'm lining up the 2 pieces here just with one of those photo placeholders so that it actually looks like one long sheet of DSP, and really it's just the 2 little pieces. Do you see how it's extending behind there and kind of fooling the eyes? Now when I overlap these photo placeholders, it's important that you don't put adhesive over the spot that overlaps, because I want to be able to tuck in the photos on the bottom layer and still have that mat work without anything being in the way. Then I'm just going to tuck in some of these little banners. And that's why I like to just put some adhesive more in the middle so that I have room to tuck things in underneath when it gets to the sides, especially on the side where I'm going to do all of my nipping and tucking. And I like to layer like 2 or 3, usually 3 banners at a time. Sometimes I do 5. I think a lot of times the odd numbers just looks really nice. So I'm just tucking those in right there. And then we will see what kind of stickers might actually work on this layout as well. I think the leaves work well, not so much the flowers. Unfortunately, most of the stickers on that sticker sheet are floral. And then I'm going to go over and work on the right page. And this one, like I told you, the technique that's going to tie these 2 together really nicely is going to be some tearing. So let's get down these grid pieces that'll serve as a grounding spot for my big square that I need to tear. And I'll use my silicone craft mat again so that when I put on my adhesive, it will not stick to the empty spots. And then I'm going to take that big DSP and just tear the tiniest bit all the way around all 4 sides. So this 6-page workshop that I've created all started with the Inspiration Collaboration Design Team challenge for the month of February. And that video first posted on the 10th of February. And our challenge was to take a workshop, a scrapbooking workshop from Stampin' Up, and make it our own. So this is how I decided to make it my own. And one of the ways I like to make something my own is by twisting up like what it's supposed to look like, stretching it into more pages, adding another element with it, some sort of specialty paper. And the ones that I've added, that tartan foil is no longer available, but even if you use some other foil paper, like the gold would look really nice with this. I even think silver could work, especially if you brought in some more grays. You could bring in glitter cardstock if you wanted, or anything shimmery if you wanted, especially to take it the more feminine route. I think that would be great. But this is how I like to make it my own, is add something else to it, another element, another texture, something like that. So you see, I've done all the ripping on the big piece of DSP. Then I've brought in a couple of pieces of cardstock and I've layered them in as well. And I really debated about which ones to put underneath there, and I thought, oh, that black is pretty strong. But I really like how it grounded this piece. And then that gives me like 3 visual spots for the black, because I have the 2 grid pieces that were cut, the big piece that was cut in half that went on the far left of the left-hand page, the far bottom right of the right-hand page, and then I have this black that comes down on this piece as well. And this whole layout on the right, that page is all slanted, and I think that's kind of fun. And the one on the opposite page facing it also has a slant going the other way. And I just think that's a really fun change to how all of this works. And this one I didn't have quite a long enough piece. So you notice I just tore it in half, and then you're going to see what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to tuck in some more circles, and I'm just going to hide where I didn't have a long enough piece. So even when you're a little short on your supplies, you can always fool the eye and stretch your supplies a little bit more. I probably could have cut that down, but honestly, I don't have too many more pages that I need to make, so I just put the whole big piece underneath that photo spot. And here is where I put my title. I'm putting it, this is very unusual for me. I'm putting it on the bottom right-hand page. That is usually not where you find my titles. I tend to put things at the top left page of a spread, but this one I decided to put at the bottom right. And then I brought in my copper clay Stampin' blend, it looks like, and I drew some copper clay lines around the outside of that because it just felt like it was getting lost, especially with that very vanilla cardstock, all the white photo placeholders, and maybe it wouldn't have been so lost once photos got on it, but I just felt like it really needed to stand out a little bit more. And then I'm popping it up on dimensionals, and then the places that it overlaps the photos, those places I will not peel off the backing to the dimensionals, so I can still tuck those photos underneath. But I do like that I put the title in a different location because I feel like I always put them top left. I hardly stray from that, and it really looks nice, and it keeps your eye moving around, especially when you look through the whole scrapbook. It's kind of nice to have it different ways, and I do like to sometimes even make them go up and down, like sideways, so you almost have to turn your head, but I haven't done that really on any of these pages. So it's just another way to add some visual interest. You notice that I'm adding some little banner tips at the top of this one, and I really don't have long enough banners for some of them, but by the time I layer everything over top, you're not going to know that some of those were shorter strips that I just brought down and layered them a little bit lower. So I've shared all of these layouts over on Instagram. If you haven't followed me there, I'm at Kati Stamps, KatiStamps. Make sure you follow me for some crafty inspiration there. I also have a Facebook business page by the same name, Kati Stamps. I've kind of branded myself that way here on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And so if you haven't followed me in all those places, make sure you follow me. And then when you see some crafty inspiration, know that you're probably going to see it across platforms. And many times I will have a process video showing you how to do things as well. I've really made a commitment this year to be far more faithful about posting my artwork because I make stuff all the time. I just am not good at sharing it and putting myself out there. So I'm working on that and posting these videos more regularly. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing more inspiration than what you might have seen in the past. So here we go. I will tell you, it's been really nice this winter having so many snow days and so much ice. It's given me a little extra time to play in my craft room, and the day that I made all of these layouts was a day off school, and I was so productive when we did not have school that day. So, and here is the last piece, and that is my journaling spot. So I will be able to journal about the photos, and I just continue taking my little circles and tucking them in and varying the heights of them. And then once I have photos, I'm still waiting on the photos. Once I have photos, then I will know if I need to add some other embellishments. It is quite possible that I'll add some more embellishments, but I usually take some of that inspiration from the photos as well. So hopefully I'm going to get those kind of soon. And I do like these little clusters of just circles. It's such a simple way to cluster, but I really like how they layer up together. And they do tuck in much easier when you cut them in half. So that's just the little tip. You don't need to tuck in full pieces. Cut the stuff down, especially if you're not going to see very much of it as well. Okay, we got in that last little circle, and let's take a look. This was the first layout. I love that big arrow. And the second layout has that great grid spots on both sides. And then this one that has all of the tags featured and the arches. And then the handsome, which has the camera. Love that. And then today's layouts, we have this one that does like the mirror image, And then this one that features the tearing technique. Like, comment, share, and subscribe for more crafty inspiration.